Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, let's have an hour of comedy, shall we? One of the best teams ever, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. They did fairly well on radio. Unfortunately, their act kind of wore thin, and it shouldn't have. And when they went to ABC, they picked up another gear, and it went very well. This episode originally broadcast April 7th, 1949, and yes, we will have another episode of Sam Shovel Detective, the case of the thief who stole the hamburgers from the lunchroom, or he was a short-order crook.
Hey, Abbott, what time is it?
It's time for the Abbott and Costello Show. We're on the air for ABC here in Hollywood.
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go with the Abbott and Costello Show.
Yes, it's the Abbott and Costello Show, produced and transcribed in Hollywood for your listening and laughing pleasure, with chuckles with a carload and music by Matty Malnick. So hold on to your chairs, folks, for here they are, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello.
What's all the excitement? What's all the
That's as high as I can go. Abbott, I got myself a real job today. I'm the control tower operator in a burlesque show.
Control tower operator in a burlesque show?
Yeah, I signal when the runway is clear for the next takeoff.
I knew it would have to be a job around girls. You can never stay away from girls, can you?
No, gee, I was just thinking of my first girl.
You were?
Little Mary Bozzo.
Bozzo.
What a girl. Gorgeous, charming. What a figure. I worshipped the ground she walked on. But one day I decided to give her up and break off our engagement.
Why?
Well, she had one little nasty habit I just couldn't stand.
And what was that?
She'd never have anything to do with me.
Why didn't you give her something as a memento on your love? Why, when I married my wife, Betty, I gave her my Elch tooth.
I know you did.
Well, how did you know?
I saw it when she smiled.
Listen, all the women in my family are smart girls. Why don't you marry my sister Babe, Lou?
Not me. 3 of her husbands have all died under mysterious circumstances.
That's not so, Costello.
Well, all I know is that every time she gets married, the coroner gives her away. Besides, marriage isn't for me. It's bad luck.
How is marriage bad luck?
Well, take my Uncle Tom. He goes and marries my Aunt Eva. And 2 days later, he falls down an elevator shaft.
Oh, wait a minute. You can't blame that on your Aunt Eva.
No. Who do you think told him that it was the door to the broom closet?
Costello, where were you when they were passing out the brains?
I was right there, but I thought they said pains, and I said I didn't want any.
Oh, get him out!
Hey, Abbott.
All right. What are you so happy about?
Well, I just got a birthday card from my insurance company.
Well, that's nice. What does it say?
It says, happy birthday to you through the coming year. As long as you're insured with us, there's nothing much to fear. So let the joyful bells ring out from Chicago to Nantucket. Happy birthday. You're all paid up in case you kick the bucket.
You know, I didn't know today was your birthday, Costello.
Oh, sure.
You know, today is my birthday, too.
How old are you now, Abbott?
I'm 32.
32. Let's see, Abbott. If you're 32, according to my figures, you started working in burlesque 2 years before your father met your mother.
Talk sense, Costello. I want to invite you to our party. You know, my wife's birthday is Saturday, and we celebrate both our birthdays together.
Oh, so it's your wife's birthday, too. Now, what kind of a present are you going to give her?
Well, She loves to read books, but they have quite an influence on her.
Just how do you mean?
Well, 3 years ago, I gave her a copy of Little Woman, and she presented me with a little girl. 2 years ago, I gave her a copy of My Son. She presented me with a little boy. This year, I'm really worried.
Why?
She wants to read the Egg and I.
Abby, you better keep those egg jokes off the program. One of us is laying them around here enough.
No, never mind. I want you to come to the party and bring that pretty red-headed manicures you've been running around with.
Well, now, she's a honey, Abbott, but I don't think she likes me anymore.
Well, what makes you think she doesn't like you, little?
Well, she's been dropping a few, veiled hints lately.
Like what?
Oh, slamming a door in my face. Refusing to talk to me on the phone. Getting engaged to other guys. Really nothing you could put your finger on.
No. Well, I don't blame her, Costello. She knows she'll never amount to anything. Everybody knows that. None of your family ever amounted to anything.
Oh, no? Well, how about my Uncle Cassidy? My Uncle Cassidy? Whoever told him I had an Uncle Cassidy? He's pretty famous.
Your Uncle Cassidy?
No,
How did he become famous?
I don't know. I didn't even know I had an Uncle Cassidy.
How did he become famous, Lou?
Well, he was the best grape crusher in France. He had 7 toes on each foot and could crush more grapes than anybody in the vineyards.
Is that so?
Then one day my father threw a handful of marbles in the grapes, and that made him famous.
Well, how could that make him famous?
From then on, he was known as Hopalong Cassidy.
Lou, it's a shame you don't have relatives like mine. I have a family that I can be proud of. My grandfather, Herman Abbott, was a very famous man.
Just what did he do?
He drove all the Indians out of Pennsylvania.
What program was he on?
And my uncle Anatole Abbott drove the first spike for the B&O.
So what? My uncle Selznick Costello opened the first can of beans from the A&P.
And my wife is the most beautiful woman in North Hollywood.
Are you kidding? Your wife is so knock-kneed that from the hips down she looks like a collapsible iron board.
Costello, how can you criticize my wife's figure? Did you ever see her in a bathing suit?
Yes, I saw her at the beach last summer. Her bathing suit was so big that she got arrested for fishing with a net.
You're the most stupid man I ever met. Why don't you leave your brain to science?
I might do that, Abbott. Last week, a scientist offered me $75 for my brain.
Why didn't you take it?
He wanted immediate delivery. Well, I'll see you later, Abbott. I've got to go out and hire a babysitter.
A babysitter? Wait a minute. You haven't got any children.
I know, but where can I get a better date for 50 cents an hour?
Uncle Bud. Oh, hello, Uncle Bud.
Hello, Uncle Bud, yeah. It's Abbott's nephew, folks. The Burt Lancaster of Orbach's basement.
What's on your mind, Nephew Norman?
What is it, Nephew Norman? Get a load of the way they talk to each other. Sounds like Guy Lombardo talking to Carmen.
Just ignore him, Nephew Norman. Now, what were you going to say?
Well, Uncle Bud, you know that friend of mine that owns that movie theater up in San Francisco?
Yes.
Well, he's playing your latest picture, Abbott and Costello when Africa Screams. And after it opened last night, he had to put the ropes up.
To hold the crowd back?
No, 2 of the ushers wanted to hang themselves.
Hey, Abbott, why don't you keep that guy out of here?
Norman happens to be a very smart boy, Costello. Why, when he was 5 years old, he was regarded as a boy wonder.
So what? When I was 5 years old, I used to wonder what I was, too.
Hiya, fellas.
Well, it's Matty Malnick, our band leader.
Well, Matty Malnick, what's the idea of coming down here in a red sport coat, green slacks, pink shirt, purple tie, and black socks?
Oh, I always wear black socks.
Why?
I don't want people to think I'm a loud dresser. I must have read that wrong.
You know... I'm kind of worried about Malnick, Costello. He's still single, you know.
So what?
Well, all the other band leaders are married. Look at Desi Arnaz. He's got his guitar and Lucille Ball. Harry James has got his trumpet and Betty Grable.
So what? I got my fiddle and a life-size picture of Petrillo.
Wait a minute, Malik. I don't want you to come out and try to get funny with Abbott tonight.
I wouldn't think of it.
That's better.
You two guys have enough trouble trying to get funny by yourselves.
One more crack like that, Malik, and I'll tell the laundry not to start your underwear. And you won't be able to stand. And you won't be able to stand up in front of that band.
Oh, quit picking on Matty.
That's right, Bud. I've got to go anyway. I got to buy the flute player a new flute.
What's the matter with the flute he has now?
Haven't you noticed? It's full of holes. So long, Chubb.
So long, Matty. Nice boy, that Malik. I'd like to have known him when he was alive.
Hello, boys.
Hello, Viola Vaughn.
Viola Vaughn. Viola, you had a date with me last night and you didn't show up. Now,
Oh, I couldn't help it, Costello.
You'll never break another date with me, Viola. I don't need to go out with you, you know. I can get a girl anytime I want. I'll show you I can get even. I can even get a girl to come up out of the audience if I want.
Wait a minute. This ought to be good.
No, I could. I could look
Just a
down at the girl
minute.
to come up.
All right, go ahead, Costello. Let's see you get a girl out of the audience.
Okay.
All right, come on.
Is there a beautiful young lady out there that would like to go out with me tonight? Just come up here on the stage. Come on.
Just a minute, Mr. Costello. You know you can't do that. You know that no girl will come up here out of the audience.
And why not?
For this program, the ABC network straps the audience in their seats.
Yes, see, wise guy? Now, aren't you sorry you spoke that way to Viola?
Well, Viola, if you'll go out with me tonight, I'll take you to some nice quiet spot, and I'll help you work out your problems.
Well, I haven't got any problems.
Well, you haven't been out with me yet.
Costello, why don't you take Viola up to Lover's Lane on Lookout Mountain?
Oh, yes, that would be nice.
Oh, nothing doing. No. My brother Pat took a girl up there last night, and he was sitting in a car necking, and a cop stuck a flashlight in the car and said, "You can't neck with girls up here."
What did your brother Pat do?
He says, "Wait a minute, officer. This happens to be my wife."
I'll bet the cop was surprised when he found out it was your brother Pat's wife.
So was my brother Pat. He didn't know it either until the flashlight went on.
All right, Costello. If you promise to give up the life you're living, I may reconsider and marry you.
That would be wonderful.
Yes. We'll have a little honeymoon cottage, and the stork may drop in on us.
Oh, boy.
Yes, and every so often a little bundle will be left on our doorstep.
Oh, that's okay with me. That diaper service sure saves a lot of work.
Costello, you can't marry Viola until you get some money.
Well, it won't be long now. I just bought some oil land in Texas. Yeah, me and Shotgun. And I'm going down there to drill for oil tomorrow.
Oh, that's wonderful, Costello. And just remember while you're down there, my heart will be with you in Texas. My soul will be with you in Texas. And my mind will be with you in Texas.
Okay. And if I strike oil, I'll send for the rest of you.
Oh, get him out of here!
And as the plot thickens, we'll ring down the curtain on the nonsense just long enough to bring you this message.
April 7th, 1949, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. To the critics of Abbott and Costello, I give you one simple reason why Costello should be respected. In March 1943, he had gone on a winter tour of Army bases and then suffered an attack of rheumatic fever. He couldn't work for 6 months. November 4th, he returned to the popular radio show. While rehearsing at the NBC studio, Costello received word his infant son, Lou Jr., had accidentally drowned in the family pool. He broke out of his crib and fell into the pool. The baby was just 2 days short of his first birthday. And I have to tell you that Costello went on with the broadcast that night saying, "Wherever he is tonight, I want him to hear me," and went on with the show. No one in the audience knew of the death until after the show, when Bud Abbott explained the sad events of the day and how Costello epitomized the phrase, "The show must go on." Bud Abbott, Lou Costello, April 7th, 1949 on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Who are you talking to on the phone?
My Aunt May. They just brought her home from the hospital. She was expecting a baby. And she said them hospitals, that they run them just like radio quiz shows.
Well, what did she mean?
Well, before they would give her the baby, she had to guess if it was a boy or a girl.
What happened?
Aunt May guessed it was a boy. The doctor says, no, guess again. So she says it's a girl. The doctor said, no, guess again.
Well, what was it?
We don't know. Aunt May didn't hang around long enough to find out. The cutest nurse came home with Aunt May to take care of her. Boy, what a nurse. Is she fussy.
Wait a minute. I hope you're not going to start chasing the new nurse.
I already did, Abbott. But she's too fussy for me. Last night she said she wouldn't kiss me unless I shaved. She likes a guy to have a smooth face.
Did you shave?
3 times. Then I took her to the movies. I'll never do that again.
Why?
My face was so smooth. Every time she tried to kiss me, she slid right past me and kissed the guy in the next seat.
Never mind that. What is your Sam Shovel detective story about tonight?
Abbott, tonight I do one of my most famous cases. I call it the case of the thief who stole the hamburgers from the lunchroom, or he was a short order crook.
Sounds very tasty. Let's do it.
Right. Yes, I'm Sam Shovel. Sam Shovel, private detective. And I'm ashamed of myself today. Today I arrested my own brother. I'm a rat. I'm a heel. I'm a louse. I decide to hit myself in the jaw. I don't take that kind of talk from nobody. Not even myself. This detective business will drive a guy nuts. This morning, Jaime the stool pigeon gave me some information. He told me not to let the cat out of the bag and to keep it under my hat. I may have to disappoint Jaime. It's getting mighty uncomfortable having a cat in a bag sitting on top of my head. Well, it's time to feed my pet frog. There's something wrong with this frog. He ain't croaked in 3 days. He must have a man in his throat. I decide to open my mail. Here's an invitation to a barn dance. I don't think I'll go. It ain't much fun dancing with a barn. Here's a card from one of my old flames, Polly the pickpocket. What a girl. I'll never forget the night she put her arms around me. I lost all sense of time. I couldn't help it. She stole my watch. Here comes my secretary. She's been running in and out of the office all day. Each time she kisses me.
Oh, there you are, Sam. I'm going to kiss you again. Oh, you sweet thing. I'm having a very busy day. I'm up to my work in neck. That secretary is a high-class kid. I practically snatched her from a finishing school. She was a carpenter's helper, and she was busy finishing a school. Oh, well, one thing I can say for myself. I ain't the kind of a boss who chases his secretary around the office. I chase her in the hall. Before I hired this girl, I had a Ubangi as a secretary. She was the only secretary I ever met who could seal the envelopes after she put them in the mail chute. I glance out of the office window. There's my pal, Lieutenant Abbott of the Homicide Squad, coming down the street. He walks straight and erect. That's a holdover from his military days. Abbott was in the service. Abbott was a colonel. Abbott became a colonel the hard way. The hard way. He was in the Navy. Lieutenant Abbott has been my friend for years. It's a peculiar friendship. First he blows hot, then he blows cold. He ain't much of a friend, but he works out swell as an air conditioning unit. I'll never forget the day Lieutenant Abbott got married. His wife, Betty, was an opera singer. She sang like a bird, but she was a flop. Very few people would pay to hear a woman go tweet, tweet, tweet. What a woman that Mrs. Abbott is. She comes from very fine stock. Too bad she didn't come from people.
Hello, Sam Shovel.
It's my pal, Lieutenant Abbott, and you look tired, Lieutenant.
I am, Sam. All day I've been trying to locate a gorgeous 6-foot blonde with blue eyes and a lovely figure. I've had the whole police department looking for her, and...
Lieutenant Abbott, maybe I can bring her in. What's the charge?
You bring her in. I'll think of something.
Lieutenant Abbott must have paid the writer.
April 7th, 1949, Bud Abbott and Lou Costello on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The conclusion follows these important messages from your favorite radio station. Thanks so much for spending a part of your day with us here. Classic Radio Theater family, you know our friend Mike Lindell has a passion to help everyone get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop by just creating the best pillow. He created the best bed sheets ever. They look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep for me because, you know, I'm working like 67 hours a day. Now, Mike's offering the best deal on his Giza Dreams bed sheets ever. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. You'll never want to sleep on anything else once you slept on a set of Giza Dream sheets. A special offer for you right now. You can get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98. Call 1-800-928-4715. Use the promo code Wyatt. Or go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Wyatt. It's good on anything on the website. That number again, 1-800-928-4715. Use my promo code Wyatt. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of Bud Abbott and Lou Costello from ABC from April 7th, 1949.
Sam, you're slipping. Why, there's talk around town that you're not a good detective anymore.
Is that so? Give me a good case and I'll solve it quicker than you can say Jerk Robinson.
No, not Jerk Robinson. That's Jack Robinson.
The Robinson I know is a jerk.
Sam, you've been pulling a lot of bonus lately. On the McGurk jewelry robbery, you arrested McGurk, but you didn't find the jewels.
Well, that's no skin off my nose.
And last week I asked you to watch a prisoner for me, and you let him escape.
That was no skin off my nose.
And when you investigated the hole-up in the butcher shop on the corner, you backed into the slicing machine.
That was no... That was a little trouble.
Yes, and that's not all. The traffic department is complaining about you. The way you drive around town in that prowl car of yours is positively dangerous.
That's not so. Yesterday at Hollywood and Vine, I slowed down to give a pedestrian the right of way.
You did?
Of course, he was in an ambulance at the time.
Enough of this chat, Sam. I'm on an important case. I'm after Light-Fingered Lil, the lady bank burglar.
Light-Fingered Lil. I know her well.
You do?
Sure, her well is in back of her house. I always stop there for a drink of water. That girl is a clever crook. Today she went into the First National Bank and grabbed the teller. She hugged him and kissed him, and while she was doing that, she took all the money out of his cash drawer. She does that every day.
Hey, wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You mean that she goes into the same bank every day and hugs and kisses the teller and then robs him?
Yes.
Why don't the president of the bank do something about it?
He did. He's quitting his job to become a teller.
Sam, we've got to nab Lil. She's public enemy number 7.
Not no more. Now she's public enemy number 1.
How did that happen?
Walter Winchell gave her a plug Sunday night.
Well, that does it, Sam. Lil has a map of the spot where she's buried all her loot. And you and I are going over there and get it.
I'm glad you said that, Lieutenant.
Why?
If you didn't, we'd have no story. Lieutenant Abbott and I arrived at Lil's hideout. I knocked on the door. I rang the bell. Make up your mind. I'd like to get in there while I'm still young. The door opened and there stood Lil. She spoke.
Well, well, if it ain't Slewfoot. What's on your mind, copper?
I like the way you talk, Lil. You're my type of woman.
What makes you say that, Sam?
You're living. And you're beautiful. There's such a delightful aroma about you. Is that taboo, perfume I smell?
It is, and you do.
Sam, we're getting no place fast. Make love to her. Make love to her, Sam. Maybe she'll soften up and give us the map.
Lil, you're the kind of a girl I could go for. I'd walk to the three corners of the earth for you.
But, Sam, there are four corners to the earth.
Yes, but who wants to get near Russia?
Sam, step over here. I want a word with you. Sam, she's got that map here someplace. It may be in that table.
I'll hold her and you look for it.
It may be in her pocketbook.
I'll hold her and you look for it.
Then it may be in the top of her stocking.
Then you hold her and I'll look for it. Hold everything. Hold everything. I see it. It's on top of the piano.
I got it, Sam. Come on, we're getting out of here.
Lieutenant Abbott and I got a shovel. We started digging for the buried loot.
Sam, I've been digging for the past hour. Are you sure you followed the map correctly?
Yes, it says here, take 2 steps forward, then 1 to the left, then 2 steps backward and 1 to the right, then turn and take 2 steps to the left and 2 to the right.
Wait a minute. Let me see that map.
There it is.
You idiot. That's not a map. That's a rumba lesson from Arthur Murray.
Hey, get me out of here.
Lou, we just have time to remind the folks about the big championship fight here in Los Angeles, May 26th.
Folks, Ike Williams, the world's lightweight champion, and Enrique Belenis are fighting April 26th for the lightweight championship of the world. It's a fight for kids. The money will go to help fight juvenile delinquency through the Lou Costello Jr. Youth Foundation.
Be sure to see this great fight, folks. And remember to listen to the Abbott and Costello show next Thursday. Our writing staff is headed by Eddie Foreman, with Paul Conlon, Pat Costello, Martin Ragaway, and Len Stern.
And our producer is Charles Vander.
Good night, folks.
Good night to everybody in Patterson.
Good night.
Listen each Thursday night at this time for another great Abbott and Costello show, produced and transcribed in Hollywood. Be sure to stay tuned for the outstanding entertainment which follows throughout the evening on this ABC station.
Oh, and yes, the announcer on the show was George Fenneman from, he did a lot of work with ABC at the time. Alrighty, from April 7th, 1949, Bud Abbott, Lou Costello here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Once again here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, an episode of Lum and Abner and a tip of the cap to Ted over at RadioMemories.com for supplying me this nicely restored episode. This is just before the premiere of The Bashful Bachelor, the Lum and Abner movie of 1942, their second motion picture. This one, though, was originally broadcast on April 7th, 1942.
Now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, plans are going full speed ahead for the big premiere of Lum and Abner's motion picture, which is to be held in the schoolhouse next Friday night. Preparations for the big event have been overshadowed, or have even overshadowed, the $10,000 gift Diogenes left to Pine Ridge in retribution for his counterfeiting activities there. As we look in on the little community today, we find the old fellows in their jot-em-down store and library. Lum is standing up with some kind of a document in his hand. Listen.
Now listen to this, Abner. See how this sounds.
All right, go ahead, but I still don't see why you have to make a speech at the premiere, Lum. The folks are coming to see the picture, not to hear you give a long talk.
Well, I have to do this because the folks will want to hear from the star of the picture. I'm being forced into this by public demand.
Forced into it? Who's forcing you?
Well, all my picture fans and admirers. If we want this picture to be a success, I better not disappoint them.
Well, exactly who are all these fans and admirers?
Oh, different people. Now listen to this, Abner. Ladies and
Just
gentlemen.
name one of your admirers.
Abner, how can I concentrate on this speech if you keep interrupting me? Now, hush up a minute. Ladies and gentlemen and fellow citizens of Pine Ridge and all my loyal admirers.
I'd still like to know who they are.
On this momentous and spacious occasion...
Spacious?
Yeah, that don't sound quite right, does it?
No.
Well, I know I've heard Squire Skimp say something like that in a speech. At least that's what it sounded like.
Well, natural, anything Squire has something to do with would be spacious.
Yeah, maybe I better cut that out.
Yeah, I believe I would.
On this momentous occasion, I wish to take this opportunity to... Pardon me, there you are, sir. Take this opportunity to tell you... Pardon me, there you are, madam. To tell you how...
Just a minute, Lum. What's all them there pardon me's in there for?
Oh, I forgot to tell you, that's where I have to stop and give out autographs to people.
Oh, I thought Mousy weren't able to hire nobody to come up and ask for your autograph.
I don't need to hire nobody to ask for my autographs. There'll be plenty that wants it. Don't you worry about that.
Well, I don't know who it'll be. Little Pearl might, but she's going to be so busy getting my autograph, I don't believe she'll have time.
I ain't worried about that. Now, just listen to my talk. Take this opportunity to tell you how I made such an uncommon success out of myself.
Lum, you ain't going to give that speech again, are you? Everybody in town's heard that 1,000 or 100 times.
Well, the out-of-town folks ain't heard it. And besides, I've made some changes in it. Sort of give it the Hollywood angle. Sort of like make an over old dress, take some out here and put some in there. It's the same speech, but changed it up. I concentrate on how I got to be a moving picture star.
Well, I know I ain't going to listen to it.
Well, you won't even recognize it this time, Abner. Now listen. My good and faithful harbingers...
Harbingers?
Yeah, I got that from Diogenes.
Oh,
Don't know exactly what it means, but it sounds impressive. I know you will be all inspired to know that I am a self-made man that has raised himself by his own bootstraps. Abner, cut that out. Who's making this speech, you or me?
Well, I could do it just as well as you. I know it by heart.
No, you don't. Only that little bitty part there.
I know the next part, too, about how you walked barefooted through the snow going to school and how you had to split rails and cut logs when you was only 6-year-old and... 5-year-old, in order to build a log cabin you was later born in.
Well, that part is something the same. Not exactly, though. But from there on, it's all different. Just listen to this. At an early age, I showed great promise of becoming a favorite moving picture actor in later life, which I have now become.
Well...
That's different.
Yes, it is.
When I was just a handsome lad of 8 years, I appeared on the stage with a New York company in Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Huh? Well, I never knowed you was in that show, Lum.
That shows you right there. You don't know everything about me.
Well, why didn't you ever tell me about this before?
Oh, I don't know. I ain't the one to go around bragging about my past, casting compliments right in my own face.
Yeah, well, what part did you play in Uncle Tom's Cabin, Uncle Tom or Little Evie?
Well, to be honest, Abner, I never exactly had a regular part in it.
You mean you was just in it once in a while?
Well, no, you see, I weren't really in the play at all.
You wasn't? All right, doggies, Lum, you can't say that in your speech, and that you went to New York to play in Uncle Tom's Cabin. That'd be telling a story.
I never said that.
You did, done it.
I never know such a thing. I said I appeared on the stage with a New York company.
Yes, sir.
And I did. This bunch of actors had come out to the town I was living in then, and it said right there on the handbills that they was from New York.
Oh, well, what about
I'm coming to that.
Huh?
There was such a big crowd that went to see the play that night that they had to put chairs up on the stage, and that's where I had to sit. So, you see, I appeared on the stage with them.
You mean you just sat there and watched?
Yeah, well, Of course, I know if any of them actors had have fell down and broke a leg or something, I could have jumped right in there and done the part for 'em.
Well, just sitting there watching ain't nothing. I could have did that. Even Cedric could have. You better leave that part out, Lum.
Abner, I'm making this speech, not you. Now, just leave me alone. After this first triumph in the theater, I then took up enough elocution, and in a few short
wait a minute,
weeks...
Lum. I believe that's our ring. Telephone.
How can I ever memorize my talk if everybody keeps interrupting me?
Glad it wrong.
Hello, jot 'em down, store and library. Tyrone Eddard's talking.
Tyrone?
Oh, hello, Ezra.
Now, where did he get that name?
You understand what?
Tyrone.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It's going to be Friday night. Big lights out in front and all that sort of thing.
Such it to do.
Yeah, tickets are selling like hotcakes. Huh? Of course it's going to be at the schoolhouse. Well, no, Ezra, I never, but I figured it'd be all right with you if we held a premiere at the schoolhouse. Yeah, I know that, but... Well, Ezra, Sister Simpson's already started on the decorations for it.
Oh, I've been working 2 days.
Oh, uh-huh. Well, what condition is that? Oh. Oh. Uh-huh. Well, I'll have to think it over, Ezra. I tell you, I'll call you back on it. Yeah, all right, Ezra. Goodbye. Swan to goodness.
What's the matter, Lum?
Why, that Ezra Seastrunks thinks just 'cause he's president of the school board that you have to get permission from him before you can use the schoolhouse for anything. Narrow-minded.
Well, now, Lum, he's right. We ought to ask him first, come to think about it. I recollect when you was president of the school board, you always made everybody ask you if they could use the schoolhouse.
Well, yeah, but that was different. Besides, you ain't heard the worst of this.
Ain't, huh?
He said we could use the schoolhouse to show our picture on one condition.
One condition?
Yeah, if we let him make a speech.
Oh, well, let him make a speech. We don't care. Or where's it over? Wonderful world.
Well, just a minute, though, Abner. You don't realize what you're saying.
Huh?
One speech from Ezra would ruin the whole premiere. That's what it'd do.
Ruin it?
Why, sure. There's the dullest, long-windedest one out-loud talker I ever sat under.
Oh.
The folks are coming here to see a moving picture, not to hear him shoot off his mouth. He gets up there and says the same identical things every time he makes a speech, the same identical things.
Well, now, Lum, so do you.
Listen, Abner, has he got anything interesting to tell, like being in Uncle Tom's cabin when he was just a young'un? No, of course not.
Well, neither have you.
Well, we ain't gonna let him get away with this. Not me. Let him have his old schoolhouse, see if we care.
You mean we ain't gonna hold a premiere after all?
I mean we ain't gonna hold it there. We'll have it at the Lodge Hall instead. That's where we'll have it.
The Lodge Hall? Will that be big enough?
We'll manage somehow. I know the folks would rather crowd in there and stand up than go to the schoolhouse and listen to Ezra. We'll show that smart aleck.
Yeah, well, can we get the Lodge Hall all right?
Oh, sure. Caleb Weehunt's head of the lodge now, and he'll want to have it there long as Cedric's in the picture of his own boy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, his Paul let him do that.
And Grandpap's some kind of an officer, too. He'll help out.
Yeah, he'll do all he can. But, say, how about that decorating that Sister Simpson's doing over at the schoolhouse?
Granny's, that's right, ain't it? We got to stop that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll ring her up right now.
Yeah, you better, Lum. Yeah, better get her stopped. She's working over there. Wait a minute, Doggies. There's Mousy out there in front. I'll run out and tell him to get some paint and change all them posters we put up too long.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Tell them make them all read to the Lodge Hall instead of the schoolhouse. Hello, is Sister Simpson around there? Well, no, don't bother to call her. You can just give her the message. Tell her that Lum Eddard's called and he wants her to tear down all the decorations that's up so far. That's just what I said, tear 'em down. Well, it ain't going to be held at the schoolhouse. No, Mom. At the Lodge Hall. Yes, sir. Well, so tell her to take the decorations over to the Lodge Hall and start decorating that right away. Yeah, that's right. Oh, just changed her minds was all. Well, all right, tell her right away now. All right, much obliged. Goodbye. Did you catch Mousy all right, Abner?
Yeah, I got him. He said he'd start changing the posters right away.
Well, good. We'll show that Ezra Seastrunk a thing or two.
Yeah, say, Lum, we ought to get them tickets changed, too, you know what? Wait a minute, there comes Grandpappy Spears.
Oh, Grandpappy?
Yeah.
Maybe we can get him to go to the Lodge Hall and start sweeping it out. I believe that's part of his regular duties over there anyway.
Well, he won't admit to it, but the air. He tries to make out like he's some big parting officer. Mind out, here he comes.
Well, howdy,
Grandpap. Come on in.
How you feeling today, Grandpap? Oh, just tolerably, Lum, just only tolerably. Say, what's this? I hear about you fellas running some magic lantern slides over at the schoolhouse Friday night.
Slides?
Them ain't slides, Grandpap. That's a real, genuine, full-length moving picture we're showing. It's called Bashful Bachelor. It's a comedy.
It's a talking picture, too.
Yes, sir. And in the second place, Grandpap, it ain't going to be at the schoolhouse. It's going to be at the Lodge Hall.
Yes, sir.
Lodge Hall?
Yeah.
Well, nobody said nothing about it at the meeting last night. Them things has to be took up by the head of the lodge. Well, we ain't worried about that.
No.
Maybe it's just overlooked on account of we had so much other business to take up. Yes, sir, you fellers ought to been there.
Well, what'd you do?
Well, we held an election of officers. You already heard that speech Ezra Seastrunk made.
Ezra?
Yep. Yeah, we elected him head of the lodge last night. Wonderful speaker, that Ezra.
Oh, my goodness. From April 7th, 1942, Lum and Abner here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks to Ted at Radio. And by the way, somebody said, what's with Lum and Abner? Lum and Abner are basically the Southern Hillbilly Amos and Andy. So there you go. Ted at RadioMemories.com supplies us these shows. He has shows on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. Visit him at RadioMemories.com. All right, we thank this radio station, and we thank the advertisers. Hope you'll support them both. Let them know that you're listening, won't you please? And we want to also ask you to come visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. You can stream our 21 hours of classic radio theater every week. Visit our social media links. You can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. And if you'd like to support our show, you can buy me a coffee. That buy me a coffee money goes toward acquiring additional classic radio collections and also helps us maintain our distribution channels. That's at classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.